19mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove our lug nuts. Grab your wheel, remove it, set it aside. Using our trim tool, we're going to go ahead and remove the plastic buttons holding our under-engine splash shield in place. There's one there. There's one under the edge right here. On the bottom side, underneath the lip of the bumper, I'm going to go ahead and pop our trim buttons here. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process for the rest of these buttons. I want to go ahead and pop this out so we can get a better look at it. Now right here we have our serpentine belt tensioner on our pulley. I'm going to go ahead and put a 14mm wrench on this here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this and release the tension on our belt. Once we have tension off that, go ahead and pull our belt. Work that off. Once the belt is off, we can release the tensioner and remove our wrench. Now before we remove our belt from all of our pulleys, we want to go ahead and document the path here. It's just going to make it easier for our installation. Using a 14mm socket, we're going to remove this lower bolt on the power steering pump and then the one on the other side of the pump. I want to go ahead and put that aside. Grab our power steering reservoir, wiggle it straight up and out of its retainer, and grab our pump and a reservoir. Just kind of slide this aside for now. I want to go ahead and remove our tensioner using a 12mm socket. Let's go ahead and remove this nut. Use a 12mm shallow socket to go ahead and remove our center tensioner bolt. Go ahead and work that bolt out. Go ahead and grab your tensioner and pull that up and out. I'm going to slide our jack underneath the vehicle with a block of wood. I'm going to go ahead and jack this up. And we want to catch our oil pan. Make sure it's a wide enough piece of wood that's going to support the weight evenly. And we're gently going to apply pressure to the engine. We're not going to lift the engine. We're not going to lift the car. Apply a little bit of upward pressure to support that. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to loosen and remove this screw. And move that ground wire away. Use our 17mm socket, extension, and impact gun to go ahead and loosen and remove these bolts. Use your 17mm socket and extension and impact to remove the two lower mount bolts. Okay, and grab the entire mount with the bracket. Remove it from the vehicle. Use your 17mm socket. Remove this bolt, holding the mount to the bracket. And you want to pay attention to the orientation of this unit. Let's go ahead and snug that down. Let's lower our mount and bracket down in a position. You want to make sure that that surface is clean. We did apply a little bit of anti-seize compound to the threads on our bolts here. We'll put our bolt on the end of one of our magnets here. Lower that down in a position. Go ahead and make sure those are nice and tight. And when looking down our bracket here to our motor area, the holes don't line up. We're simply going to drop these in place. Now we're going to go ahead and adjust our jack and lower the motor so that those will line up. So you can see that our mount is not lining up with the motor. We're going to go ahead and lower the jack. And we'll go ahead and get those bolts started. I'm going to go ahead and get these threaded all the way down and snug them up. Take our ground wire, put the bolt through that eyelet and get that threaded a few threads. Once that's caught, let's go ahead and snug that down. Now we can go ahead and remove our jack and push that aside. And we're just going to go ahead and feed our belt up and in. I'm going to wrap it around our crankshaft. And feed the bottom portion around our AC compressor. As long as it's in the general area, you can go ahead and finish wrapping it up top. So lower your tensioner down into place. Slide that over that stud. Let's go ahead and get our center bolt installed. We'll go ahead and install our nut on the stud here. Let's go ahead and tighten down that center bolt. And we'll snug down that nut. Let's go ahead and torque these bolts down to 16 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and bring our power steering pump and reservoir back into position here. I'm going to install our 2 bolts. All right, let's go ahead and tighten those down. These bolts here, just want to make sure that these are good and snug. Once you feel them bottom out, just give it that tiny bit more. Let's go ahead and get our reservoir popped back into position here. Let's get our belt routed. It'll take you a few minutes to get this routed around to everything that needs to get run through. I'm going to go ahead and use our 14mm wrench. And just continue all the way around your liner until we get that all buttoned up. Install our splash shield here. Work our way to the top here. Let's go ahead and tuck this behind. Let's go ahead and install our clip back here. And then we'll push that button in. Let's go ahead and install your wheel. Making a mess. And I'm going to install your lug nuts. Get them all started by hand. Once these are all on, I'm going to go ahead and snug them down. Let's get and torque our lug nuts down to 80 foot-pounds. And you're all set.